Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. FPL Davecorp here. As the countdown is on, we have only 18 days to the resumption of FPL. So right now we are doing final touches with our first draft team. And like I mentioned, or as I do every week, I make sure that at least you see how my draft is evolving week after week. So we're going to go through and review how the different teams are performing in preseason, because a number of players from the World Cup are now rejoining their teams, and now is when we are beginning to separate who is who and who are we bringing in and all that. Chelsea did have a couple of games last week, one of which was against Western Sydney Wanderers, and the highlight of the entire match I think was João Pedro with the hat trick. Jamie Bino Gittins also continues to impress with a couple of assists here and a goal. Esugu was mainly defense as well. But we do know Chelsea did sign Lacroix, which should be able to strengthen their defense, because their defense at least is one of the biggest challenges with Chelsea. Their midfield continues to be good, obviously with the few players that are still going to come like Enzo and all that are still in the break. But yeah, I think with Lacroix on board, that should really strengthen their defense, in my opinion. And obviously, they may need a keeper as well. That is something that they're still looking into. One of the other games they played was against Spurs, that we shall be looking at later. Liverpool today morning, I think, had a good game as well against Leeds. It was a game of two halves. When you look at the score, you may think Liverpool was poor, but they did lead 2-0 in the first half, and they played two different teams like preseason works. So Florian Wirtz obviously shined. He did play very well. Luke Chambers scored the other goal for Liverpool. And after the wholesale changes at halftime is when obviously people like Dominic Calvert-Lewin did come in as well and scored a brace himself for Leeds as well. So it was a good game. Liverpool, my concerns with it continues to be in defense as well. Frimpong was substituted a bit early, so it's something that is still being monitored, whether it was an injury. Obviously, we know in their first preseason game, I think against Sunderland, also Gomez did also get off injured as well. Jacket, as we know, is still a bit doubtful. Who was the replacement for Konate? Van Dijk obviously still also with in the break for the World Cup. So their defense, and obviously the lack of a CDM, like I've mentioned here before, their defensive assets really, unless you're going for DEFCON and all that is something I'm still skeptical about. But that was the Liverpool game. The Chelsea game that was over the weekend, they did play a game with Spurs. Spurs did get a red card. There were 10 men, but they still managed. Richarlison scored the winner in that game for them. Mathys Tel also continues to look impressive for Spurs. Richarlison, there are rumors about him leaving, but that is something that I think we shall continue to monitor as the transfer window is still open. But that's how Spurs looked on as well. Arsenal continues to impress as the champions they are. I think for me, the standout so far in all the preseason has been Solis, but we did see Gabriel Jesus also come in and get a goal. Max Doman, obviously, as well. Kai Havertz is also a great asset for us, who can play in their midfield and also lead the attack. Jokeres hasn't yet rejoined them, but I think those are some of the key players that are coming in later. That's why the minutes for Gabriel Jesus may not be a worry for us, but I believe Solis, depending on how they enroll him with the rest of the first team, really continues to look like a very good asset. Their defense is still solid, as we are saying, with Mosquera as one of our key people, Gabriel as the safer one. But yeah, they did beat Girona 4-1 as well. Man City did play a game with Inter Milan. Obviously, match weekend team, because Haaland has not yet rejoined and a couple of others, but Phil Foden was looking very sharp. Tijani Reinders did play at least only one half. Their goal was scored by David Mobama, but also assisted by Antoine Semenyo, who is one of the key people that we also always look at in FPL. So, like I've mentioned, most of the senior players really are still rejoining, but as the time is coming closer, we're going to see much more full strength teams begin to play. Manchester United also did have a game against Atletico Madrid, a game that they did come from behind and win 2-1. Bryan Mbeumo, one of the people that is currently in my draft as well, did score both goals for them. And they are continuing to look good. Obviously, a match weekend team, as you can see, with people like Heaton in goal, Maguire captain the team. Dogu still continues to play a bit forward. That's a person that whose position in FPL was changed, like we mentioned. But yeah, Mbeumo, I think, continues to look like a top asset. He didn't play the World Cup, so he's obviously fresh and available. People like Cunha and all the likes, we shall see how they are reintegrated back into the team. We see who's going to be leading the striking line and all that, and also the make of their new midfield. That is something that we shall going to monitor. There's quite been a number of games Hull City did perform. We've talked about Nottingham Forest. So there's quite a number of games that are still going on all over. Mateta did obviously shine for Crystal Palace. So these are some of the key assets that we continue to look at. And in my next video, I think I'll now let you know on how my draft has evolved or how it's looking like. I have, I think, 2 more players that I'm bringing in and also 2 more that I'm taking out. So look forward to that. I think it will be coming on Wednesday. Otherwise, remember to like, to subscribe, and comment, and I'll be able to respond to everything that you share. Thank you very much, and catch you next time.